talking about.
Oh, like I can never get okay. So I got Zoom figured out. Like Zoom seems to be easy,
Yeah,
but I can't ever seem to figure out how to get it to send the stream to like my Facebook Live and Instagram like at the same time here. So it's
gotcha.
like I don't know, super seems to be super tricky. I don't know why.
You might have to hire a VA that's all they do.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to somebody who just does like social media stuff. And then that's all they'll do. So somebody that's actually like familiar with, you know, how to do Instagram and stuff. Or maybe I could like have my kids do it for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right. I think we're good to go here. Hey, Teresa, how's it going? The unicorn agent is back.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good deal.
So what's typically your format on these, Rob? I've dropped in a few times and just kind of seen what you were talking about. Obviously, I know what you're doing and space and all that good stuff, but how do you usually run these calls?
Oh, it's just kind of a free for all. So whatever people want to talk about, whatever questions people want to ask, I just kind of open it up. And kind of go from there. So Jason is a regular on the calls as well. Looks like
Okay.
he's lurking today. Teresa's been on a couple times. I'm gonna drop the Zoom link into the Facebook live chat because I know sometimes people like to come on there. But yeah, do you want to kick things off today?
Yeah, let's kind of we could jump into kind of what we were talking about last night on messaging. I do want to know, just for my background, I want to know a little bit just about your your outfit, the Snap Cash offer, all that stuff. I know that you're coming across a fair amount of deals and just your team size and because I'm obviously down in Pierce County and I do my own thing. My wife's a realtor. We have VAs and we're obviously not doing the volume that you're doing, but very familiar with the process and in the same world, but just kind of curious about your outfit.
Sure. Yeah. So I've got a couple of virtual assistants, actually three. I've got two of them in the Philippines, one in Venezuela, and then I've got an acquisition disposition manager here locally as well. So one of my VAs pretty much just handles working with trying to find cash buyers here, like through Facebook, using Investor Lift, PropStream, and anybody that we have on Facebook. What she does is she'll reach back out to them and try to get like contact information and kind of more details about how we can get a hold of them, what they're looking for, and that sort of stuff. And so she's putting all that information in the Podio. My other VA, he will be posting like all of our deals on the Facebook. And so anything you see that's coming from me on Facebook is actually that assistant. And he's handling all the inquiries that come in from posting those deals. So anytime somebody responds to a deal that gets posted, he'll blast it out to a bunch of different Facebook groups as well.
Yeah.
And puts all those inquiries into Podio. So the dispo guy and gal can follow up with everybody. So we try to minimize the number of people that fall through the cracks that we have, like inquiring about our deals, because that was like a huge problem. And like 99.9% of the people that respond on Facebook anyway are tire kickers.
Wholesaler. You know what I do, not to interrupt you, but when I have my VA post like that, I'll literally go through the people that have responded with an email and I'll click on their profile or their activity in the group. And
Okay.
if they're guys that are like, and I'm not saying other wholesalers can't, but if all they've ever done is post a wholesale deal and they have nothing about buying, nothing about funding,
Mhm.
I don't even send them the deal. I'm just like,
Okay.
you know, I mean, it's a little extra work, but I'm like, why even waste the time? You know?
Right. Yeah.
So just something. I mean, obviously, like I said, you're doing more volume than I'm doing, but when I do post in those groups, I have my VA kind of screen those people, and we'll take a list of 44 responses and only send the deal out to 25 people, because 14 of the guys are the guys that you and I see every single day coming into space with wholesale deals. So I
Yeah.
don't know, just
Yeah. It's kind of a balance because, maybe on that deal, like, and we get like a lot of wholesalers too that are like reaching out to us, and sometimes they're not, telling us they're wholesalers, and then they
right.
send a,
Yeah,
a proof of funds from Plan D. I don't know if you've seen that, or besttransactionalfunding.com,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
turns out, okay, you're just trying to wholesale this deal, which I don't mind actually JVing with people on deals, because that's like actually our business model is helping out like
Yep.
other wholesalers disposing these deals. Just be upfront with me about what
Totally.
you're doing, like
Totally agree. Yeah.
the whole idea of this is to connect a buyer and a seller, right? So if somebody else has some buyers that, I mean, I don't know every buyer in Seattle, right?
Yep.
So if somebody else has a buyer that I don't know about, I'm totally open to partnering up
Totally.
and doing deals with them. So
Just present yourself that way when you reach
yeah,
out. And
yeah,
that, and you and I, the stuff that you and I have connected on, I think I've been upfront with you, like, hey, if we can do this, like, let's JV it. And I always try to be forthcoming that I'm not going to be the end buyer, but you never know, I mean, I'm
yeah,
always looking for stuff down here to pick up and add to my portfolio. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's kind of the overview of what our team looks like. We're using Investor Lift to post the deals. So it's kind of like a website we're using just to, because it seems like there's a ton of wholesalers on it now.
yeah.
But we're still using SendGrid as for our email blasts. We're not using Investor Lift to do the email blast or text message blast, just because we're seeing way lower open rates on our emails when we're using Investor Lift to do those blasts. So
Yeah, so I'm on Investor Lift, and I was doing the nationwide thing. I think I told you that on the message.
yeah,
And I feel like it's pretty good for that, but stuff that's actually in Seattle or Washington, Spokane, wherever I'm getting stuff, I'll try to go back, and obviously the goal is to work with the pocket buyers that we do have, that we know close and it's no bullshit, and I do see the power of Investor Lift kind of from a nationwide angle, but I think it's very cumbersome with just the emails, and it's definitely a great idea and whatnot, but there is a lot of extra work that goes into it. That's, unless you're obviously in cartel mode, I don't think you're there. I mean, because I wasn't going to spend that kind of money, but cartel mode seems like a whole different ballgame than the plan I'm on,
I talked to them about that. And even in cartel mode, it wasn't like they had a huge number of buyers in the Seattle area. I was talking to whoever
Josh.
Robert was it Josh? Is that
Might
his
be
name?
Josh Cohen or Robert Wensley.
It was Robert's brother, I think.
Okay.
And he had said, I don't know, it was maybe 30,000 buyers in the Seattle area. And so I was thinking, like, for that amount of money that you're spending on cartel mode, I would have expected more buyers in Seattle than that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I don't know. They've had quite a few people that are kind of dropping off the platform. So they're really pushing their lieutenant mode now as their other one, which is kind of a subset of cartel mode. And it's like the top 25% of buyers in cartel mode, I guess you get with lieutenant mode, but they don't tell you what market those buyers are in.
Yeah.
Necessarily. So
how many markets are you? I know you do some stuff, and I think you had something in Texas, and I've seen a couple out of state ones for you, but how many markets are you in right now?
Yeah. Just for wholesaling, I'm just in this market right now. I used to do stuff in Oklahoma City as well, but they changed the wholesaling laws there a couple of years ago, and I'm not doing any deals there now. But For multifamily, self-storage, and mobile home parks, I'm looking kind of all over the country. So
Yeah.
anywhere somebody's posting a deal, either off market or on market, I'll be, taking a look at stuffs there. So I'm looking at a fourplex in Georgia right now. And then there's a number of self-storage deals that I'm taking a look at, Arkansas, Texas. I'm trying to think where there was one in Indiana.
I'm on that Facebook group, and I saw you respond to a couple of those, and that's why I was like, when I reached out to you yesterday, because that's one of the things for 2023. I'm trying to, the single family stuff's fun, but the market's changed, and so I'm trying to say, okay, how can I get into a bigger platform to grow the portfolio? And I know a guy that was actually at a seminar that I went to in Boise about 6 months ago. He's at like $30 million portfolio on self-storage in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, it's definitely a blue ocean, I think. I mean, there's not to say there's not competition in that space, but it's just something for 2023 I want to focus more on. So are you actively marketing to those folks, or are you just kind of looking for the stuff that's being brought to these groups?
Yeah, I'm not doing any active marketing yet at this point. It's mostly been so that's one other thing my VA will do is he kind of just like, I told him like, hey, if you see anything like on Facebook or Craigslist or whatever that has storage, mobile home parks, or 4 to 30 unit multifamily, just throw it in the Podio, because we use that to track all our deals. And especially if it's like an owner finance deal,
For sure,
you definitely want to take a look at it. So
for sure.
yeah, anytime he comes across something that fits that, he puts in the Podio, and we take a look. But I'm also taking a look at on market stuff as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Are you opposed to building out self-storage? Because I was looking for a friend for building out actually by my house for self-storage.
Building,
so you're really just looking for pre-existing
like
owners for developing for serve storage.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking to start with, I just want to buy some existing
Gotcha.
storage that is something that's value add for sure, because I just like buying stuff at a discount that, the idea would be to burr the deal, right? So, and if the value add is just the fact that's being mismanaged and the rents are below market, that's like the perfect kind of deal, because then you don't have to come in with a huge amount of capital to do, renovations and stuff like that. That's one of the deals I'm looking at right now. Is the owner it's a pretty small deal in Arkansas. I don't know, that might be the deal that you saw me
Could have been
to Mike. But it's like the owner like is requiring the tenants to come and drop off a check at his office. He keeps track of everything in a notebook.
Oh man,
Yeah. So I mean, the whole idea with self-storage is like, you just want to get these people set up like on an automatic credit card payment every month, so they just like forget that their stuff is even sitting there, right? Like if you're making them have to like come in and write a check every month to you, then you're kind of defeating the whole purpose. And then
they're going to be getting out of there soon, because that drive they dread every month.
Yeah, exactly. So
and how are you as far as the underwriting goes? I've obviously done some look at that to figure out cap rates, all that kind of stuff. Are you doing the underwriting yourself? Are you kind of partnering up with somebody, or how you going about that?
No, I've been doing myself. Definitely been looking on YouTube at some of the self-storage gurus to see what they're doing, how they're trying to determine, what the kind of occupancy in the area is, and market rents and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm kind of working on my own sort of spreadsheet where I can just plug in the numbers as, the as is numbers and the pro forma numbers, and kind of see where things would need to be as far as pricing goes.
Yeah.
So
I came across a website the other day. I don't know if you know about it. Let me see. I'll try to give this to you. I'll send it to you too, but it's called, have you heard of sparefoot.com?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I use. Yeah.
That's pretty badass, man.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the old school way that I was kind of taught was like, well, go to the mobile parks websites in the area and do all this. And then I came across Barefoot and I'm like, oh, all the data is housed right there. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. The only drawback is when I've seen when the town is pretty small, like there could be towns where there's no data
yeah, for sure.
available in Sparefoot, but you could actually still go and for whatever reason find individual storage facilities around there and kind of get an idea. So I'm not sure how I'm not sure how Sparefoot gets their data actually in there, if they're like automatically like trying to aggregate it from Google or
Yeah.
what. But I've noticed that there's been a few deals where it shows like there's no units in the area on Sparefoot, but then you go to
Gotcha.
Google and you can actually see some, facilities around that you
Yeah.
can still get pricing information for. So
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I was blown away by that, just that it was all housed in one location. And they're probably, like you said, they're obviously probably running some marketing, something outreach to the bigger players and say, hey, what are you guys charging for a 5x10? What are you charging for a 10x10?
right.
And
Yeah.
so that's probably their main business model. But
Yeah, or they're tapping into potentially some of the self-storage facility software providers, because I know a lot of operators use the same software to handle the reservations and the incoming payments and stuff like that. And they kind of give a generic website for the self-storage facility. So they might be tapping into those providers just to be, because since they're providing such the software is so many operators, there's all that data sitting there. So they might be getting data from there and able to show it
right.
in there. So
Gotcha. Okay.
hey Matt, how's it going?
Morning, Rob. What's happening?
Much.
Everybody?
Doing good. How have things been going the last couple weeks?
It was a little quiet, just with the holidays and all that, but we doubled down on phone calls with kind of Christmas week and all that, and had some good results. So got a few little projects I'm working on. I'll kick some info to you today. Actually, what's your email, Rob?
So it's rob@snapoffernow.com. So have you guys noticed any change in the market like the last month or so with either on the seller side or the buyer side?
No, not so much. I mean, it's been kind of quiet, at least on my side, for probably the last 30 days or so. But I think agents are kind of re-strategizing right now and really looking at the fundamentals of real estate, because the market just was so weird and so many agents came into the marketplace over the last 2-3 years. So a lot of people are going back to like old school for sale by owner, canceled expireds, all that sort of strategy. It's been interesting.
I've definitely seen more for sale by owners down in Pierce County, Rob.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Definitely, there's been more that have popped up, and I think agents they're starting to get it in regards to like kind of pitching some creative deals to people. They've been more open to that on some of the houses that have been on days on market for a while. I saw like your MS-DOS software that you're working on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What the hell is that? That's the other thing. I was like, what is he doing?
Yeah, so I'm basically taking the MLS data and just automatically getting it into Podio. So I was doing this back in Oklahoma City like a few years ago. Every MLS deal was going into Podio.
Okay.
And then my VA was comping every single deal. And then I'd get an alert. So he put in like his estimated ARV. I'd get an alert and Podio would send me an alert when something was like listed at maybe 80% of ARV or better.
Gotcha.
And so then I'd run a comp manually myself because the VA would kind of get, in the ballpark. And then anything that was like a deal, then we would just, I had Pody all set up to just, I click a button and it would automatically generate an offer and send it over to my listing agent. Or to the agent I was working with down there, and he'd send it off to the listing agent. So we were like sending off all these blind offers on these deals, like 70 to 100 a month.
Wow.
And then we were locking up probably 2 or 3 deals a month that way and wholesaling them. And this was before the pandemic, before the market just like went crazy. And then you couldn't get a deal anymore on the MLS, basically below list price. So I'm looking to try to replicate a very similar thing here. So what I'm doing is we're just kind of putting an ARV estimate on it. And then anything that I'm also looking for, like, indicators of distress. So like in the listing comments, anything that says, something about as is, cash only, TLC, handyman, investor, like anything that indicates that that property needs some sort of work done to it, gets moved over into Podio. So the idea is then we kind of start at the low end where, percent of ARV is like at 40% or 50%, start calling those listing agents up and seeing how open their sellers are to taking an offer below what the price is listed at. So there was a couple Fridays ago, I on Facebook Live, I just started calling some of these agents up.
Yeah, I've been there. I've done it. I'm doing it. Yeah.
And but it's a very similar story from like most of these people. They're like, the sellers are like, oh, I know what my property is worth and I'm not going to give it away. And,
give me retail. It's like,
right.
Well, you missed the boat. You listed your house a little too late for that, buddy.
Right. Yeah. One of these guys has done 12 price reductions since July, I think. He started at like 550, and the ARV on this place is probably maybe 500. And he's been dropping the price slowly. So it was at 380-ish, I think, when I called him. And then somebody else sent me this deal. Another agent said, hey, what do you think about this? And he's down to 360 now, I think. And he's willing to take 325 is what
he started at 550.
He started at 550, yeah. And I think it has to be 250 to 275 max in order for this thing to work. So he's still got a ways to go. So I had asked him, like, what are you going to do if you don't sell this thing? And he said, oh, I'm just going to keep it as a rental. He's living out of state and he doesn't want to handle this thing. And so I said, well, how many offers do you have, or have you gotten on this? And what's the feedback been? I don't have any offers. I haven't got any offers, but I have one guy that's thinking about submitting an offer. I was like, okay, yeah, this is still overpriced. So I tried pitching the creative thing to him, saying, hey, I could probably pay close to your ask price if you're open to doing, some sort of terms.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I just want to cash out of it. And I was like, well, cash offer is going to probably start with the 2.
Yeah, 100 grand less than what you're at.
So yeah, he wasn't so open to that, but now he's down at 325. So I don't know. I think it's a matter of time. From what I'm seeing is sellers are we're seeing deals now where sellers are coming down on price. Buyers are starting to come up on price a bit. So I mean, I feel like at this point things are starting to be in a better state than they were like at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
So
yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So hey, Cecilia, what's going on? Any luck finding any multifamily deals?
Not yet. I'm gonna call my multifamily list on Friday and see if there's any changes to any of those folks. But yeah, not yet. How's your Atlanta deal going?
Oh, I might have lost it. I wanted to get somebody there to do a walkthrough, and the wholesaler that's got it lined up, he had verbally accepted my offer, but I didn't want to sign an assignment until I had somebody else actually walk it. And then he got a higher offer over the weekend. So I raised my offer, and he's mulling it over currently. But yeah,
Rob,
this was a pretty
I've got boots on the ground in Atlanta that can walk
okay.
if you need it.
Okay, yeah, I might need it. I'm waiting to hear back from him today to see if I can actually, if he's gonna take this other offer or not. But if he's not, then yeah, I might need somebody else out there to
Okay.
do that. If you
Yeah,
want,
just, no,
either can you ping me on Facebook, or you can drop something in the chat here,
well,
or
you're,
did you?
we're friends on Facebook,
Okay, all right, cool.
so I'll wait to hear from you.
All right, yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, sounds
But-
good.
Yeah, the numbers on that deal were pretty good. I mean, he was asking 165 for a fourplex.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, his estimate was 100K in rehab, and ARV was like 450. I had estimated rents at about 1,000 a unit, and then I called a property management company in that area, and they're like, no, I think we could get like 1,200 to 1,300 a month in
Yeah.
rents for it. And I was like, okay, well, that kind of changes things a bit. So I don't know, this would be a pretty good bird deal.
Is he a tired landlord, or why is he getting rid of the property?
It's in really, really bad shape. So 2 of the units are uninhabitable.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah. And
and area of town, is it in bad area of town, or?
it's not in, it's probably like a C-class neighborhood.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, not a stellar area, not an area that I would want to live, but none of my rentals are in places that I would want to live.
Hey, everybody has to have a home, so it doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Every dog needs a doghouse is what I tell
Yep.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, some of these places aren't bad to stay in for a little while, but like, yeah, I wouldn't want to live. Probably the nicest houses I have are in Altus, Oklahoma, and I wouldn't want to live in Altus. There's just nothing to do there. So, but they cash flow like crazy. I mean, those are probably cash flowing like $600 a month.
And are those the places where you have no turnover as far as renters go?
Very little. Yeah, very little turnover. It's a military town, and those tenants have been in there for quite a
Forever.
while.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good deal.
yeah. So, but at the same time, you don't get a ton of appreciation in Oklahoma either. Like not like here in Seattle. I've got, a couple duplexes here that barely cash flow, but they've appreciated like crazy over the last 5 years. So it's kind of a trade-off, what is it that you want?
Gotcha.
So Cecilia, are you finding anything to even put offers in on at this point, or?
Not yet. I mean, I've been the multifamily list I've been talking to, like nobody is like interested in selling. It's a lot of like older landlords that have had the properties forever. And they're just, yeah, haven't been open to even, taking a look at an offer. So, but we've recently started to market to vacant land and then single family on large lots. Because in City of Spokane, they've recently made a zoning change where you can build up to 4 units on any single family lot. They're saying it's temporary, but they're looking at like a permanent solution. So kind of looking at opportunities around that. But we're just kind of getting into that. So we'll see if we get any traction there.
Have you taken a look on LoopNet at all?
Yeah, I have been looking at LoopNet and Crexy. Yeah, I know there's, I mean, I've seen a little bit of multifamily on there, but nothing that's kind of within our criteria. Um, so yeah. Is that where you found your Atlanta deal?
No, Lana's deal was like Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I found a bunch of deals on Facebook actually, but yeah, I mentioned LoopNet because I know people like kind of hate on it because it's like, oh, there's no deals on there. That's where deals go to die. Deals that don't sell, just end up going on LoopNet and sitting there forever. But I had a friend that got like a 16 unit in Oklahoma City. It was like a smoking deal off of LoopNet. And I think everybody just assumes if it's on LoopNet, then it's not a deal. So I've added it to my list of things to LoopNet and Crexy to check those for multifamily and storage and mobile home parks. Just because you never know when something's going to come up, or if something's been sitting there for a while, it doesn't hurt to call and see. Like it might not be a deal at whatever price they have listed at, but if it's been sitting there for a while, the seller might be open to, talking about price on it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I look at LoopNet like, I don't know, maybe every few weeks or so, but I could definitely be a little more consistent about checking and add it to my like regular tasks.
Yeah. And talking to those agents definitely be good as well, because you just never know when one of those agents is going to have a pocket listing, because pocket listings tend to be a lot more common in the commercial, larger multifamily / commercial world than it is in the residential world. So how many units are you looking for again?
We're looking for like 10 to 20 right now, like a 10 to 20 unit complex in Spokane.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, it might not hurt to start networking with those. I still think agents are like the best source of off-market deals.
Yeah, that's what, after we talked a couple weeks ago, that's what I was telling Joe about what you were saying. And that's like one of the next things we want to do, is just put together a list of like all the agents in Spokane who have done like even small multifamily, and just reaching out and continuing to keep up with that.
Yeah. Are you guys, one of you guys licensed? Do you have MLS access or?
No, not right now. I was licensed like a couple years ago, but we had gotten some deals, like had some success, like reaching out to agents that had property on the MLS, and asking if they would like be open to representing us as the buyer and kind of getting in that way. So I wasn't like using my license, so I just kind of let it go.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to recommend, if you had your license, you could probably go in and pull up deals that have closed that have been 4+ units and see listing agents were on those. Hey Matt, you had a comment or a question?
Yeah. No, this is exactly kind of why I jumped on, and I'm an agent in the Tacoma kind of Puget Sound area, and I'm looking to branch out because I see an opportunity working with people on the investor wholesale side. And if there's a way that I can provide value and partner with all of you guys, I'm kind of new in that space. And so like, I guess, part of it for me is an opportunity to learn how to work with you guys in a way that's efficient, so I'm not wasting anybody's time, and then making sure that I'm putting deals in front of you that make sense. So if there's a way, if you guys want to lean on me, or, if you want to collaborate or grab coffee, I mean, let me know. I'm here pounding the phones, looking for off-market stuff pretty much on a daily. So
anytime you come across something in Pierce County, bypass Rob, send it to me. I just hijacked his call. No, I'm kidding. But I think to answer, kind of to piggyback on that, I think from our standpoint, for us as an investor, I think that I have no problem paying commissions or assignment fees on good deals. So like if you are out there doing the work and you are able to bring something that's a opportunity with big upside and we can close on it, I'm not gonna, and I think Rob, just knowing how Rob does business, is the same way. We're happy to compensate you for the work that you're doing, because we know what it takes to get those people on the hook and under contract. And so I think you can have a ton of success partnering with people that are actually buying and doing deals, just by doing your outreach that you do on a day to day, and partnering with some, like, Rob, I don't know what you do from an agent standpoint, whether you do blast emails or you're actually having VAs call people one by one. But that's something for my 2023 as well, is just agent outreach. Reach out to people that are like Matt in that position and say, hey, look, when you come across a house that is not market ready, that somebody needs to sell fast or whatever it is, put me in your phone. And when you come across these deals, call me. We'll take a look at it, underwrite it, and see if it makes sense. But what are you doing to kind of get in line with people like Matt? What's your approach with that, Rob?
Yeah, I do exactly that. Yeah, we're calling up agents and just saying, hey, if you got anything that you don't want to list, nightmare type listing, dead cats in boxes, that
Right.
sort of thing, I would love to take a look at that sort of deal.
Okay.
And see if we can help get you a commission, on a deal that you might not have even taken a second look at. You just wanted to run out of it as soon as you went to the listing appointment, sort of thing, right? So
Yeah.
just being a resource on appointments that you go on that you feel, if it looks like it's not something that the seller is wanting to either doesn't want to list, or you think it would be a better fit for a cash offer, we could definitely help out and see if we can get one of our investors to take a look at it. And then I think the key too is with following up, you want to stay in their ear, because across one of those deals, you want them to think of you, right?
For sure.
Say, oh yeah, that Mike guy he keeps bugging me about these ugly deals, and
Yeah.
I only do luxury flips or luxury, retail deals, but somebody just sent me something that I don't want to deal with, and so I don't know. It's crazy. Like, you could spend all this time cold calling sellers, or you could spend all this time cold calling agents. The seller's probably just going to sell you one deal, but you do a deal with an agent.
Amen, brother.
Bring you another deal.
You sound like Jamil.
Right? Yeah.
Like Jamil.
Yep.
Yep.
That's because it works. It works. Yeah. I've done probably $110,000 worth in assignment fees with just one agent around here sending me deals. So, and it was from a cold call. And it was from a cold call where the agent said, I don't do anything like that.
I don't work with investors.
I just do luxury listings, is what she had initially told me. So, and then she called me back like 3 months later and said, hey, I got something you might want to take a look at. And I was like, hell yeah, I want to take a look at that. And it's like moss. There's like a forest growing on the roof. It was pretty amazing, but
right up my alley.
So that deal almost went bust though, because it was just as the market was turning. This was a crazy story. I can't remember if I told you this or not, but the buyer signed the assignment, wired in $10K earnest money on Wednesday. On Monday, he just sends me an email and says, hey, Rob, I'm out. You can keep my $10K. And I'm like,
oh, shit.
What happened? What I don't get. He didn't even call me to explain it. So I called him up and I said, well, what's going on? And he's like, I've got 9 properties on the market right now. And I had 3 showings across all of them the entire weekend. And he's like, if I take this deal, and he really wanted this deal because the numbers were good at whatever the ARV was at that time. And it was like half a mile from his house. So he really wanted this thing. He's like, but if the price drops like 10%, he's like, I'm going to just be underwater on this thing. And I'd just rather lose the 10K now than, potentially end up losing 50K on it if the market keeps going down. So he bailed. The agent was pissed because the seller had put in his notice at work. He lined up a moving company. He was like,
oh man,
all ready to go. So, and then the seller started talking to some other wholesalers, and it's like, oh, well, I just searched, buy my home for cash online. And so somebody else offered me, 25K more than what you're paying. And and mind you, we didn't even have another offer that was close to what this guy was gonna pay. That the guy that bailed on the deal. And I was like, I'm telling you, those other guys that you're talking to, they're going to talk to the same investors that I'm talking to. They're going to come in with the same numbers. So they might tell you that they're going to pay, 625 or whatever it was. But after 3 weeks, they're going to say they are not going to be able to do that. And you're going to be right back to where you are right now. And he just would not accept that. Like I was trying to explain to him what wholesaling was, and he was just like, no, these guys said they're gonna buy it, and it's like, no, they're doing the same thing. They work with investors, they're having people come through and so anyway, I ended up getting somebody that was like at the contract price. He wouldn't drop his price at all. He's like, if you aren't gonna take this price, then I'm just gonna go sign with one of these other wholesalers. I couldn't get the buyer to go up any higher than he was, and so I didn't have anybody else that was even close to the price. So I was just like, I'll just take the earnest money as kind of my assignment fee.
Yeah.
That deal and just get this thing closed.
So Matt, the moral of the story is that all wholesalers are not slimy, and it's all about helping people out. So
yes.
good job, Rob.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm vibing with that for sure. And I guess I have this like fun vision for the year is like if we can all partner together and make a well-oiled machine, I don't have to make a full SWAT on every deal. If I can just create a consistent source of deals for all of us, like shit, I mean, that's kind of a perfect scenario.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're looking for as well. We don't I know there's some wholesalers that will like try to make a killing on a lot of their deals, and like I've watched some YouTube videos on some of these guys locally, and it's just crazy at the discounts that they are able to negotiate with the sellers. But then they start really high on the sales price, and they'll kind of just slowly work their way down until they finally get it sold. But I was just like, I'd rather just keep turning these things over, and getting as many of these deals done as quickly as possible. And then,
Free is the way to be.
One, right? What's that, Jason?
Hassle free is the way to be.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, Mike, let me send you something I got in Tacoma.
Yep. Absolutely. Last name is Cocke.
Mike, are you out of the Tacoma area? Is that kind of your primary?
I'm actually I live in Sumner, but I'm from Tacoma. Primarily do a lot of my business down here. We do stuff in South Seattle. Wholesales, have done some flips up there, and then Spokane, we do have a presence as well with some SEO, and we're like, number 1, number 2 in those areas on Google. So we
Nice.
get a ton of inquiries
Awesome.
to SEO on that. Yeah.
Is that your primary marketing then? Is SEO then? Or
I mean, we do a little bit of everything, but that's definitely like our, I kind of, when I started going like right around the start of COVID, I realized that the market would end up with the SEO thing. And so when everybody was kind of slow playing it and doing PPC, and I know PPC is still the place to be, but it's so damn expensive. I mean, I've done it, lost money on it, made some money on it, but SEO is like, once you get it up and running and you get ranked, it's basically free marketing. You know what I mean? So I dumped a ton of money into it early, a few years back. And now, like I said, I mean, I'm sure you've seen the guy, Keith Santz, on there for Kind House Buyers. He's like the number 1 guy down here.
oh yeah. Yeah.
He's everywhere in all the big markets in Washington, but I'm pretty much like right behind him in every market. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we do pretty well. It's not consistent, but it's when it comes in, people are motivated. You know what I mean? Like they're ready to go.
Mhm.
So, and then we do a lot of niche mail and a little bit of text and VAs, cold calling, and different things like that. So kind of a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everybody kind of swears by the marketing that they're doing, but I think really the key is like to just pick something and focus on it for at least 6 months. Like I tried everything for like a month or two, and I was like, oh, this isn't working. No, this isn't working. I did Facebook ads, I did direct mail, I did texting, I did cold calling. But I never stuck with any of those long enough, except for the cold calling, to actually see some results off of it. And so, but you'll see everybody, like if you go on YouTube and you're looking at like all these successful wholesalers, what they're using, everybody kind of swears by their whatever marketing it is that they're doing. And I think really the key is just first of all, you got to find something that just resonates with you. Like,
Absolutely.
not good at cold calling, or you don't like managing a cold caller, then don't do cold calling, because when it's not working, it's going to be hard to stick with it, right?
Yeah.
Texting or whatever. The thing that scared me about texting is you hear horror stories about litigation, right? And then somebody texts you back, and I had one guy that said, oh yeah, I'm interested in selling my house. Here's the address. And so I put the address into Google, and it's a police station.
You get a lot of those, or like these make me move prices, which is like 2 times ARV for everything.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I'm sorry I bothered you, man, but you don't gotta be like that. I came by very respectful, man. I'll talk to you later.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious that people that are like really successful at text marketing, like what are they doing to get responses from people? Because I've been noticing some kind of creative messages that I'm getting, at least, that they'll say something like, oh, hey, are you available for a call right now? Or something like, are you around right now? Or something like that. And I think they're just fishing to see if they, first of all, can get a response, from somebody, and to see who it is, right? Rather than just coming right out and saying, oh, hey, I see that you're in pre-foreclosure. Would you like a cash offer on your house, or something like that. So
I think too, from like a litigation standpoint, if you can get, and I've done, launch control, I've done all those outfits. If you can get them to respond and get some type of conversation going, then there's something in the fine print that says they basically can't sue you if they are engaging you and going back and forth. And so they've cut out all the BS to say, hey, I'm interested in your property at 123 Main Street, da, da, da. And they're just like, hey, are you available? Or sometimes, I've done like, hey, Rob, I've sent just that text. And like Rob will respond and be like,
yeah.
And I'll be like, hey, sorry to bug you, random text, man. This is Mike. Are you interested in selling? And then, so at that point, you're not going to get flagged. You've avoided some litigation because you've discussed this with me. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I agree with you though. It's super fishy on that. And I know some guys in other markets that have been sued for big time money that I just don't even want to be at. So we stopped doing it. We're not texting at all right now.
Does the risk of litigation only apply to numbers on the DNC, or is it any number?
No,
Right.
they got to be on there. They got to be on DNC or litigation listing. If there's nothing on it, they can't sue you. They can't come after you.
Gotcha. That's what I thought. I just wasn't sure if there was other info out there that I missed.
Well, there's rules about what's the compliance TPCA or something like that with texting, and so you got to get your phone number registered, and
Business.
you got to do all this stuff now to get your business registered in order to do cold texting, at least through platforms like Twilio and even InvestorLift. Now you got to get registered, probably because they're using Twilio, I think, behind the scenes to do their text message blasts. But what I was also wondering, and I haven't tried this yet, is just doing like cold text to agents, whether or not you're potentially opening yourself up for litigation there as well, or does it only have to do with buyers, or even buyers too? Like my VA will, he's one-off texting buyers. We're not doing blast to a bunch of people, but I've wondered about that as well, as if you're trying to, pitch a deal to somebody who might be a buyer, and then they say, hey, I don't like you. I'm going to report you to the authorities if you're opening yourself up there. So what Robert Wensley recommended doing was like, and this seems like a lot of work, like establishing a Wyoming LLC, because with the Wyoming LLC, you don't have to disclose who the officers are, and then get a registered agent like in the state there. And
Oh,
then,
unanimous LLC.
yeah, anonymous, and then set up your cold texting with that company.
I mean, what kind of numbers are you doing to even run that kind of operation? Like I run, when I do SMS blasting, I'm doing anywhere between, my rate's 200 per phone number. I think it changed since it went to 800 number, but it was like 200 per phone number per day. And I'd probably run maybe 1,000 because I want to get through a 2,000 list and within 2 days. So I mean, it just makes me wonder what kind of numbers, what kind of texting, and how much time what's your bulk texting like? You must be texting like 20,000 people to run into those kind of problems. Because I don't see somebody that's running just 100, 200 text messages, a day, running to those kind of problems. Especially if I don't know what everybody else texting is like. I mean, I know what mine is like, but half the time, it gets flagged for being repetitive and being spammy in nature. So you already have to fine tune it that way for it to even get sent out.
Yeah,
because the platforms that you send on, they pre-scrub your messages.
For sure. And Rob, I don't know what you've come across, but I know a lot of like the 10,000 texts a day platforms thing, those are kind of by the wayside. Like that's 2 years ago. And now like Launch Control and different things, they have a certain amount of text that you can do per hour. And sort of like the keywords, what you're saying is anything that's property, sale, interested, things like that, those buzzwords that are in there that flag you when they get sent, they actually give you, imagine like a, what is it, thesaurus, when you can
like a template that they'll replace those words for you.
Yep. And so they'll give you alternate words to when you send it out, it will not put you on a flag list because you've replaced sale with not even purchase, but like just an alternate word that's not going to get flagged. And so I think if you're going to do that, Jason, I don't know if that's something you're interested in. I would look at Launch Control because I think they're pretty much the best and most TCP compliant. Because when we switched over to it probably 6 months ago to try it out, I had no issues whatsoever. It was really smooth, and it's expensive. I mean, it's between like $300 to $500 a month. And then if you're doing, say you're doing 5,000 to 10,000 texts a month, you're going to have to obviously skip trace all that. So you got to have, a budget to send those types of volume. But Launch Control to me is the best one that's out there.
What do you use it, Jason, for your text?
I use REI Reply, and I just fine tune it myself.
Okay.
Because REI Reply, I mean, it's $2 for the number, and that's really about it. And I pay like $45, and like it's like pretty much a la carte, but it's a lot better than when I was on it's on the Go High Level platform. Because I was like with Amplify's on the Go High Level platform, so it's the Go High Level platform, but it's just more a la carte. And I'd rather pay $45 plus extra 20 plus extra 30. I'd rather be all in for $100 than $1,500 for a platform, plus on top of that for marketing, plus on top of that, you know what I mean? So it's just a lot cheaper that way. And I get lists anywhere between 2 to 4,000, and I'll work that list for 1 to 2 weeks. So I'm not really sending out that many numbers anyways, or I'm in different markets anyways, and not just here. So
okay.
I don't, I just try to, exactly, instead of, having the software do it, I just kind of fine tune it myself, because you had to talk like that sometimes as well. So it's better, just to have those, those little tools in your belt when you do get text backs. But, yeah.
And they're using that as a CRM as well, or?
Yeah, it's CRM as well.
Okay.
But cool. I'm using that. I'm using Podio as well. I have a long-term JV with somebody for about a year or so. So I'm using Podio as well.
Okay.
So between REI Reply and Podio, Podio's for my JV stuff, and then REI Reply for my own kind of stuff. So, it's really one-man operation.
REI Replies, like I tried, Rob, I don't know if you tried it, but I played in it for like a month or two. Yeah. I was like, man, I need a PhD. Like this.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
You know what? It wasn't that hard before. Because when you get high level, you can say, hey, I want to market this myself, because Go High Level is a platform it's based off of, and you can create your own platform on their platform, and then you could sell that out yourself. Like I think you can get the platform for like $600, and you could market that $600 per month, and you could there's different tiers for how many users you can have over there.
Like a way to do it.
It is hard to use, but most of the time they come with account managers, they can set everything up for you, and that's the easiest part. That you'll have your onboarding if you're not familiar with the platform, and they'll do your list and everything else like that. So I mean, it's pretty simple. The onboarding probably took a while. I mean, it's about, I think, like 2 weeks out for most people, but it's fairly simple and it's fairly cheap.
Are they still doing those Sunday night calls with the gal that's like the ringleader? I can't remember what her name was.
I don't know.
Okay. It was probably 18 months ago, 24 months ago.
No, I just got on a high level, bro, like probably a couple months ago.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, REI reply. I think I got an REI reply probably like September, October. So fairly recent.
Yeah, I had some issues with some phone numbers with them to where CallRail like flagged a number or something, then I couldn't get it to release, and then I was on, I don't know, it just wasn't seamless at the time, but it also was in the beginning stages. So maybe I'll circle back and take a look at that.
I've been having issues with calls I never made before, and fax. I don't know. I think it might be built in for them to bilk money, and I kind of look at it jaded that way because I've never made a call on this number, but I'm getting inbound calls, and I didn't call this number out at all. But I'm getting repetitive calls. It's like a fax machine or something else. And I swear to God, they're just bilking me for my fucking money. I swear they are.
Yeah.
They're really going back and getting my little wallet to get these funky calls. Because you pick it up and it's 5 cents gone every time. And you'll have, a couple of these calls, like they're really after 10 calls, 50 cents. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. You think they're like got a robo caller?
Man, they're reverse dialing you, bro, to get that extra money.
Yeah,
and you out here happy.
They got VAs that are set up that are basically calling all their.
It's like the weird thing. It happened for all my numbers. I have like 5 numbers, and it happened with all of them. Like numbers I'd never even used yet, and I'm getting and they're all the exact same call. They're like fax machine, beep 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 beep. No, right. And that's all that you hear. There's nobody on the end of those lines, and they're repetitive. They're like 5 times a day per number.
I wonder like where those numbers have come from though, like the numbers that they're giving out. Like
I understand it, but if you think of it, they're all getting the same kind of call backwards. So over all these just all fax numbers, it doesn't logically make sense that you would get all these calls back. There's never been a person on the end of those lines.
Yeah, that's true.
I picked them all up, and there's never been a person on the end of those lines. So it makes me believe that something else is going on. You're really just after my $1 a day. Because you give me the number for $125, $2, and you're gonna get another $1 a day for me answering it. So you're making $35 off of me every month, just on fake phone calls.
Yeah, that's crazy. I have smartphone and CallRail, and I never have that on any of my numbers. We're not getting any calls like that.
Jason.
Yes.
This is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
I am known for being able to find out where the number's coming from. Will you post it in the chat and let me see where the phone number that you're getting the calls from is coming from?
When I reactivate it, sure. But I mean, it's not that really big. I've been more heavily in Podio, so like I've been Podio, so I kind of dropped the REI reply. But when I do, sure, because I plan on getting back there, probably ramping up for my own campaigns, probably mid-March. And seeing where the market's at then. But yeah, most definitely. I care about it, but not really. It's just like, wow, you guys are really nickel and diming out here.
Gotcha.
All right. And then Jason, after our call here, we actually took a look at that Snohomish deal.
Send the check, Rob. Thank you. First deal of the year. It's in the check. Thank you. First deal of the year.
I think it's tight, man. I think that deal's tight.
I mean, honestly, I did the walkthrough there, just the bathroom, there's flex in the bathroom.
There's what?
In the smaller bathroom. I mean, I think the bathroom, God, I go through so many walkthroughs, bro. I'm sorry. There's flex in the bathroom. It's just dated.
Mm-hmm.
The counters are low. And I'm a 6'8", man, so I mean the counters are always low, but these are just they're like handicap wheelchair accessible low.
Uh-huh.
And that would be the only thing if you put 30 in there, it's fine on the inside.
Yeah, I was like, we're looking at the pictures and thinking more than 30.
I said it's all subjective, but it's 70 with the land. I mean, there's other things that were kind of the same thing that were in the mid eights or low eights when I did run my own quick little comps when the person I'm JVing this with presented this to me. So
yeah, that's the other thing too, before we dove a little further into this, we're just like assuming that, kind of the ARV is what it is, like in the 700s. But even at a 5, mid 5s, low 5s purchase price, I think it's going to be a tight deal, because it looks like it needs quite a bit of work, and it's a pretty big mobile home, right? It's almost, was it like 2,000, almost 2,000 square feet? So, yeah, so I didn't want to dive too much into the figuring out the ARV, because it looks like even at the ARV that you guys are assuming, it's going to be a tight deal. So, and then I don't know if there's going to be a ton of comps out there either, as far as mobile homes go. I hate doing rural deals, because it's just hard finding comps on those. We've got another one in I don't know if it's Copalis Beach or Copalis Beach over in Grays Harbor County on the coast, and there's like one comp in like the last 6 months on that thing.
Rob,
Yeah.
but you can always find something similar, not within range, but find something similar, see what the dollar per square foot is, and then take it times whatever the square footage is of the property, and establish a number that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what we're going to have to do, is just find something that isn't quite comparable to use as an approximation. But I think the problem is, though, especially in this market where people aren't like clamoring for deals and like jumping over each other, it's becomes much harder to sell deals that you don't have solid comps for, because buyers are looking at this as another layer of risk for them, right? So not only do they have this flip, but they don't necessarily have a solid idea of what they could list this thing for or sell it for eventually,
Well, like an appraiser, when an appraiser goes in and there's no comps, that's what they do, is they use a very similar property and just use that square footage per square footage dollar amount, and they take that times whatever the square footage of that property is.
Yeah. So I think we're going to have to do something very, very similar for this. But what I'm saying is, though, so if you're using comps that are, 1,000 square feet bigger and 3 miles away and aren't a lot that's, an acre versus a quarter of an acre, we can come up with an estimated value, based on using those comps as approximations. But somebody that's actually like going to put their money down and say, I'm going to buy this thing, is going to be a lot more critical about how we're kind of coming up with that estimated ARV. Whereas if we have something in Tacoma, which has had like 6 sales in the last 2 months within, a 4-block radius, a buyer is going to have a lot higher comfort level, especially if the rehab is large. That's the other thing too. If it's something that they could just come in and quickly, like,
if they can put eyeballs on it, then they can say, yeah, okay, I see the similarities, or I see the differences. True.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why these deals are a bit tougher to sell, and why buyers are wanting a bigger discount to ARV. Hey, Jason, so somebody on Facebook Live is actually asking for to see the deal. You want me to send so Lisa Chase, I don't know if you're friends with her or not on Facebook, but I can send the deal over to her and she can take a look at it.
Can you ask her quickly for a proof of funds, Rob?
Lisa, can I get a proof of funds that isn't from Best Transactional Funding? Oh man, I had two wholesalers within the last 2 weeks do that to me. They both swore they were buyers.
Yeah.
I'll get you the details on that. I'll DM you the details on that deal, Lisa. Is it in Marysville, Jason? Was it Marysville? He might have dropped off for now, but
Something I've done too on some of these remote, like I've got a listing, a custom built home on some acreage in Belfair that I'm working on. And on that one, it was tricky to find comps. It's that same, just like beating my head against the wall, trying to find like a legitimate good comp. And what I did was went back in time to try to find a similar property, because out there you've got waterfront homes, you've got mountain view homes, acreage, there's a lot of different variables. And I went back in time and then adjusted for the rate of appreciation in the area over that same time frame, just to get a ballpark. Because the other issue, at least that we run into on appraisal, is the gross and net adjustment. You know, like you might have a comp in a rural area that, you know, is close, but you're comparing a mountain view home versus a waterfront, and they both have like amazing features, but the gross adjustment wouldn't allow that comp to be valid from an appraiser's point of view anyways. And so it's like just trying to make sure that I've got that information when I'm talking to a seller, being like, hey, here's what we can expect when it comes time for appraisal. That's been kind of a big help for me with pinning down.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is you can always go back in time as well. I've kind of been doing the opposite recently, just because the market has changed so much, you know, over the last 6 to 8 months. Is I've specifically been saying, okay, I am no longer going to go back more than 3 months. If I can get comps within the last month, that's awesome, right? Last 3 months is good, but now I'm trying to specifically exclude anything that was prior to the summer, just because, you know, things were different back then. But yeah, like with some of these properties though, you don't really have a choice other than to either increase the radius or the size or the amount of time that you're going to go back and take a look and see.
Yeah, time's the last kind of lever in the CMA that I wind up adjusting if possible, especially for the same reasons you said. It's just like, if you're not finding data, it's so hard sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why these rural deals, it's like they're hard to comp, and then they tend to be hard to sell as well, right? And so unless it's very clearly like a home run type deal where, you know, it's at a significant discount to what you think the ARV is, it's like I will tend to shy away from doing these, just because I'd rather be focusing on lower hanging fruit that is going to be easier to sell, even if the fee ends up being smaller. I mean, it doesn't hurt to blast out a deal, you know, just see if anybody responds, but then spending time and actually calling buyers up and seeing, you know, pitching the deal to them, I'd be more hesitant about doing on a deal like that. So, but yeah, definitely a good point about going back in time on some of these deals. You got to pretty much do whatever you can to get a approximation on what it could potentially sell for when all is said and done. So,
Rob, the best thing about my deal is that you can become an equestrian master, race chickens and some ducks.
I saw that.
And have a race car shop all in your shop. And there's a little bootleg apartment up there. That's even worth the money in the little in the warehouse, bro.
I wasn't clear though if livestock was included or not.
I don't believe so.
Okay. I saw it in the pictures, but
they got the that and the boats. If I get to throw in the horse and the 2 boats, you gotta take it.
Yeah. Well,
and you got a ranch hand to stay there. He has his apartment on top of the worker garage with a bedroom, and it's just big up there. I saw a couple pictures, only 2 pictures, the green room.
Yeah.
You got a bathroom and shower up there too. You got live-in hands. You got a business right there. That's your other side hustle income right there, Rob. I'll take the check.
I figured if you could get them to include the animals, like I feel like this is a much easier wholesale deal to sell, because a lot of the wholesale deals we sell that have animals, they're already dead, and they got to get this would be a bonus if the animals are actually still alive. So yeah, I don't know. So I'll send this off to Lisa and have her take a look at it, and then we'll take a look and see what we think ARV might be as well. I mean, the other thing too that makes this difficult is it's a manufactured home, and the initial comps that we were pulling up were all single family houses. So
yeah,
that was the other kind of tricky thing on the comp side on this one.
You think we can get to maybe let's start a dialogue on Graham, man. I need Graham gone, man. I have OCD, man. Once I have something, I need it gone, and I don't need it gone by just getting rid of it. I need it gone by execution.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, on that one, I don't know like how far, and we could probably take this offline, but how far off on price, like between what you have it at and what the developers that we talked to that indicated that they'd be willing to pay for it in this market. How big of a gap there is between those 2 numbers. So
I mean, the only difference in the gap in price is time. It's not going to go down. It's not going to go down too much more, but the upside's way more exponential than the downside. It's not going to zero out. And the downside is you're not going to go down more than the differences that we have right now in price. So there's nothing but an upside, and the upside is just time. And that time is all relative. You could be in a coma and wake up, it's worth $3 million. But hey, it'll never be worth $1.
That's not how the developers are taking.
It'll never be worth $1.
That's not how developers are running their numbers on it. Okay, so the pitch is okay. Just imagine you are in a coma for the next 3 years. When you wake up, this property is going to be worth so much more than you paid for it.
Hey, it's going to be worth more than the differences we are in price.
Before you went into a coma. So
it's all relative.
Yeah. All right, guys. I am going to go get some lunch and then make some phone calls. So
appreciate your time, Rob. I'm gonna follow up
with y'all. Yeah, let's do some deals.
Let's do it.
Luck to you, Jason. I'll be in touch and let you know some more details on the Marysville deal, and then we can figure out if Graham is in the realm of possibility.
It has to be.
So
2023, man. Anything's possible, man.
That's right. All right, guys. Take care. See you later.
Nice meeting you guys. See you guys later.
See you, Rob. See you.